The curse was devouring Thaddeus Kane from the inside out, and he had begun to count the hours until it finished its work. It had started 6 months ago with whispers, his wolf whispering things the man could not understand, ancient words in languages he had never learned, promises of blood and freedom and the sweet release of letting go. Then came the forgetting, names slipping away like water through his fingers, faces of pack members he had known for decades becoming strangers, time itself becoming unreliable, bending and folding until he would blink and find hours had passed with no memory of where they went. This morning had been the worst yet. Thaddeus had woken naked in the forest 10 miles from Shadowpine Manor, covered in blood that was not his own, with the carcass of a deer torn apart with a savagery that spoke of mindless fury rather than hunting skill. His wolf had taken control in the night, had run wild, had killed without purpose or need. The man was dying. The beast was growing stronger. Soon there would be only beast, and Thaddeus Kane would become the very thing he had spent 62 years fighting. A rogue, feral, mad, dangerous to the pack he had sworn to protect. He stood now in the study that had belonged to Kane Alphas for 3 centuries, staring at rain that fell like tears against windows older than the nation itself. Shadowpine Manor rose from the cliffs of the Pacific Northwest like something carved from nightmares and promises, all dark stone and ancient timber and iron forged in fires that had long since gone cold. The building had weathered wars and plagues and the slow entropy of time. It would outlive him by centuries. The study smelled of wood smoke and old leather, and the particular mustiness of books that had witnessed generations of pack secrets. Grimoires bound in leather and sealed with wax lined floor-to-ceiling shelves. Chronicles written in blood. Maps of territories conquered and lost. The accumulated knowledge of 300 years of Kane rule. On the desk before him lay the only things that mattered now. A file containing everything he knew about the White Wolf, the creature who had cursed him, and a contract signed by the one person who might be able to find her. The White Wolf, pure white fur, blue eyes like glacial ice, moving through the Carpathian Mountains 8 years ago like winter given deadly purpose. She had appeared in the middle of a battle, had torn through wolves on both sides, and had left Thaddeus alive but marked with dark magic that was slowly turning him into a monster. He had spent 8 years hunting her, had burned through resources and favors trying to find the ghost who had destroyed him. Every tracker came back empty-handed. Every seer saw only white and cold and inevitable death. Until yesterday, when a raven had arrived carrying a message written in silver ink. I can find anyone. If they exist, I will find them. If you want the White Wolf, hire me. I arrive at sunset. Nora Frost. The door opened without a knock. Flint Morrison entered carrying 2 glasses of whiskey and wearing the expression of a man who had pulled too many dying friends off too many battlefields. They had run together for 35 years, Beta and Alpha, brothers in everything but blood. You drifted again, Flint said quietly, setting a glass on the desk. Not a question, a statement of fact. How long? 10 minutes. You were staring at the rain like it might wash away the curse if you looked hard enough. Flint settled into the leather chair he had occupied for 3 decades. Chen wants to see you. The latest blood work shows accelerated degradation. Dr. Sarah Chen, the pack's healer and the only person brave enough to tell an alpha he was dying. She had been documenting his decline with professional detachment, watching the curse eat him alive and cataloging every symptom for future reference. As if there would be future alphas to benefit from her research. As if the Kane bloodline was not ending with him. I know what the tests show, Thaddeus said. The whiskey burned going down sharp and real. Weeks, maybe days, the curse is winning. Then we find the one who cast it and make them break it. The Shadow Moon Coven. They have to know something. Flint's jaw was tight. We interrogate every witch in that coven until one of them talks. We tried that. They would rather die than betray their mistress. And their mistress, Thaddeus shook his head. Elder Magda is 300 years old, ancient, powerful, beyond our reach. Nothing is beyond our reach if we are willing to pay the price. The price is too high. Going after the Council of Ancients directly would mean war. My pack would be slaughtered. Thaddeus met his beta's eyes. I will not sacrifice 200 wolves for one dying alpha. Then what? We wait for you to go feral. Wait for the moment when I have to put you down like a rabid dog. Flint's voice cracked. I cannot do that, Tad. Do not ask me to do that. You will do what must be done. You always have. Thaddeus stood, moving to the window to stare out at territory he would not live to protect much longer. But first, we try this. The tracker, Nora Frost. If she can find the white wolf, maybe we can learn something. Maybe the white wolf knows why the coven targeted me. Maybe she has answers. And if she does not, then at least I die knowing I tried everything. The sun was dying behind the mountains when the lone rider appeared on the private road leading to Shadowpine Manor. Thaddeus watched from his study as the motorcycle approached, a black machine that moved through the gathering dark like a shadow given purpose. The rider dismounted at the base of the manor steps, pulling off her helmet to reveal features that made Thaddeus's wolf sit up and take notice in a way it had not done in months. She was young, mid-20s, brown hair cut short and practical, a scar across her throat, thick and white, the kind of wound that should have killed. She wore black leather and moved with the predatory grace of someone who knew exactly how dangerous she looked and did not care. And when she tilted her head back to study the manor, when the dying light caught her face just right, Thaddeus saw her eyes. Hazel, ordinary. But his wolf saw something else, saw past the color to the soul beneath, and his wolf whispered the one word that made absolutely no sense. Mate. Impossible. She was human as far as he could tell. No scent of wolf magic, no aura of pack, just a woman on a motorcycle who knew how to hide what she was. His wolf was compromised by the curse, seeing things that were not there, grasping at anything that felt like hope or connection or salvation. This woman was not his mate. She was a tool, a means to an end. The front door opened below. Flint appeared, intercepting her before she could approach. They spoke, too quiet even for Thaddeus's enhanced hearing. Then Flint gestured and she followed him inside. Thaddeus forced himself away from the window, settled into the chair behind his desk, the power position, where alphas sat to pass judgment. A knock. Alpha, Miss Frost is here. Send her in. The door opened, and Nora Frost walked into his study like she owned it. She moved with controlled grace, her eyes sweeping the room in one efficient glance, taking in exits, weapons, vulnerabilities. Her gaze landed on him and stayed, and Thaddeus felt the weight of her assessment like a physical touch. His wolf purred, mate strong hours. Thaddeus told his wolf to be silent. Miss Frost, he did not stand, did not offer niceties. Thank you for coming. Alpha Kane. Her voice was rough, damaged by whatever had scarred her throat. Your message said you need someone found. The white wolf, a creature who cursed me 8 years ago in the Carpathian Mountains. She has been running ever since. He studied her face for any flicker of recognition. Can you find her? I can find anyone. She moved closer to the desk, picking up the file without asking permission. Bold, if they exist, but I need to understand what I am hunting. What exactly is this white wolf? Arctic bloodline, pure. The last of her kind as far as we know. White fur, blue eyes, and combat skills that suggest centuries of training despite her youth. Thaddeus leaned back. 8 years ago she appeared during a battle in the mountains, killed 3 wolves, left me alive but cursed with wolfsbane magic. Nora opened the file, scanning the contents with an intensity that suggested she was memorizing every detail. When she reached the crime scene photographs, her hand stilled for just a moment, too brief for most to notice. But Thaddeus noticed everything. "These claw marks," she said, pointing to an image. "The pattern is defensive, someone fighting off attackers, not attacking. And these," she indicated different wounds on different victims. "Multiple attackers, at least 5 based on the variation in claw spacing and depth." Thaddeus leaned forward despite himself. "You can tell that from photographs." "I have hunted wolves for years. You learn to read the evidence." She closed the file. "Your white wolf was not the aggressor in this battle. She was defending, probably defending you." "My warriors said she attacked us." "Your warriors were in combat. Adrenaline, fear, tunnel vision. They saw what made sense in the moment." She met his eyes. "But the evidence tells a different story. The white wolf tried to save you. Someone else cursed you." The words hung in the air like a revelation, and an accusation all at once. "If not the white wolf, then who?" "That is what I am here to discover." She set the file back on his desk. "I will need full access. Your territory, your records, anyone who survived that battle. And I will need to stay here, at the manor. The white wolf may return if she learns you are still hunting her. I need to be close when that happens." It was reasonable, strategic, exactly what Thaddeus would have demanded in her position. But something about having her here, in his home, felt dangerous in ways that had nothing to do with curses or hunts. His wolf wanted her close, wanted her safe, wanted her. And his wolf was not to be trusted. "You will have quarters in the East Wing," Thaddeus said. "Full access as requested, but understand this clearly, Miss Frost." He stood, moving around the desk until he was close enough to use his physical presence, his alpha aura, to remind her who held power here. "If you betray me, if you put my pack at risk, curse or no curse, I will tear out your throat myself. Are we absolutely clear?" She looked up at him without flinching. And in that moment, standing in the space between them, Thaddeus felt it again. That pull, that certainty, that impossible recognition. "Crystal clear, Alpha Kane," she said. The words should have sounded submissive. They sounded like a challenge. His wolf approved. The East Wing guest quarters were designed to be comfortable and secure in equal measure. Nora stood at the window, looking out at forest that stretched endlessly under a moon that was 3 days from full. Somewhere in that darkness, wolves patrolled. Somewhere, the truth waited. She pressed her palm against cold glass and let herself feel the weight of what she was doing. She had come back. After 8 years of running, she was standing in the home of the Alpha she had saved, the Alpha who thought she was his enemy, the Alpha whose wolf recognized hers as mate even though his human mind would never accept it. This was insane. She should have stayed away, should have let him die cursing her name, should have let the truth stay buried in blood and snow and 8 years of silence. But 3 days ago, a seer in Prague had looked at her blood and whispered secrets that shattered everything. "Your father lives, but not for long. The curse devours him. You are the only one who can save him." Nora had not believed it, had thought it charlatan nonsense, but the seer had shown her visions. Thaddeus Kane, younger, with a woman named Elise Frost, brief romance, pregnancy, then death, supposed death. The baby had not died. The baby had been stolen, sold to a black operations facility that trained wolf children as weapons. That baby had become Nora, who had spent 28 years thinking she had no family. Until now. Thaddeus Kane was her father, and he had absolutely no idea he had hired his own daughter to hunt herself. The irony would be hilarious if it was not potentially fatal. A knock at the door pulled Nora from her thoughts. "Come in." Dr. Sarah Chen entered carrying a medical bag and wearing the professionally neutral expression of someone who had learned not to be surprised by anything. "Miss Frost, the Alpha requested I conduct a standard medical examination, protocol for anyone staying at the manor." Of course, Nora relaxed slightly. This was expected, invasive but expected. Chen worked with efficient precision, checking vitals, drawing blood, making notes on a leather-bound journal with careful, deliberate strokes, not electronic records, nothing that could be hacked or traced. Old ways, safe ways. "Interesting scars," Chen said conversationally, too conversationally. "The throat wound, clean cut. Someone tried to permanently silence you. They succeeded. And these." Chen's fingers traced the marks on Nora's ribs, barely visible through her shirt but impossible to hide from a healer's trained eyes. 3 parallel claw marks. Wolf attack. Defensive wounds. 8 years old based on the scar tissue maturation. Nora's heart stuttered, but she kept her face neutral. "Occupational hazard. I hunt dangerous things." "You hunt wolves specifically." Chen packed her equipment with the same deliberate care. "And your blood," she paused. "Your blood tells stories, Miss Frost, very interesting stories." "What kind of stories?" "The kind that suggest you are not entirely human. The kind that show markers consistent with Arctic bloodline genetics, which should be impossible because Arctic bloodline has been extinct for 20 years. Chen moved to the door, paused with her hand on the handle. "I will run full analysis overnight. Protocol. But if you are what I suspect you are, you should be very careful. Desperate alphas make dangerous decisions." Then she was gone. Nora stood frozen, her mind racing. Chen suspected, maybe even knew, which meant her time was shorter than she had thought. She had hours, maybe a day, to find answers before her cover was blown and Thaddeus discovered the truth. She moved to her pack, pulling out tools she had carried for 8 years. Silver daggers blessed by moon magic, vials of wolfsbane for emergencies, protective charms woven from Arctic traditions, and a journal filled with everything she knew about the Shadow Moon Coven and their role in the Carpathian massacre. Time to hunt the truth before it hunted her. The library at Shadowpine Manor was a cathedral to wolf history. 3 stories of books and scrolls and grimoires, accessed by spiral staircases and walkways that creaked with age. Nora had been granted access to everything, and she intended to use it. She spent the night reading. Pack chronicles dating back 3 centuries, accounts of the territory wars, records of curses and their cures, looking for anything that might explain why the Shadow Moon Coven had targeted Thaddeus specifically. Dawn was breaking when she found it. A note in the margin of a chronicle from 50 years ago, written in faded ink. "The Council fears Kane bloodline, pure alpha genetics, resistant to manipulation. If Kane line continues unchecked, Council loses control of Western territories. Recommend intervention." Intervention, such a clinical word for murder. The Council of Ancients had wanted Thaddeus dead, but they could not just kill him outright without starting a war, so they had cursed him instead, made it look like the work of a rogue wolf, let him die slowly while his pack weakened and fractured. And they had used the white wolf as their scapegoat, a convenient ghost to blame. Nora was still processing this when she heard footsteps, heavy, irregular, someone limping. Thaddeus appeared at the top of the spiral staircase, dressed in a simple linen shirt and dark trousers. He looked exhausted, like he had not slept, like the curse was eating at him even now. "You have been here all night," he said, not a question. "I work better without interruption." Nora closed the chronicle, but not before he saw what she was reading. Kane family history. Find anything useful? He moved closer, and Nora caught his scent. Cedar and smoke and something wild underneath. Something that made her wolf whine with recognition. The Council of Ancients. They have been trying to control your bloodline for decades. You were never supposed to become alpha. Your father was supposed to die in the territory wars 50 years ago. When he survived, they switched to subtler methods. Thaddeus went very still. "You are saying the council cursed me." "I am saying someone with council backing cursed you. The Shadow Moon Coven serves Elder Magda, and Magda serves the council." Nora stood, moving to face him directly. "The White Wolf was there, but she was not your enemy. She was trying to stop the curse." "How do you know this?" "Because I was there. Because I tried to save you. Because I took claws meant for your throat." "Because I am very good at my job," Nora said instead, "and because the evidence supports it." They stood close enough that she could see the silver beginning to thread through his dark hair, close enough to see the lines around his eyes, earned from decades of impossible decisions, close enough to feel the pull of the mate bond her wolf insisted existed. "If the council is behind this," Thaddeus said slowly, "then finding the White Wolf will not cure me. They will just curse me again, or kill me outright. Unless we cure you first, then deal with the council." Nora met his eyes. "There are ways to break bloodline curses, Arctic magic, old rituals, but they require—" She hesitated. "Require what?" "Family, blood of blood. The elder's memory ritual can transfer curses, heal bloodline damage, but it only works between parent and child, or siblings." Thaddeus's expression went carefully neutral. "I have no children. My mate died before we could build a family." "Your mate Margaret died childless." "Yes." Nora's throat tightened. "But before her there was Elise Frost, 29 years ago, brief relationship. She died in childbirth, or so you were told." The color drained from Thaddeus's face. "How do you know about Elise?" "Because I know everything about you. Because I have been investigating you for 8 years while you investigated me. Because—" Nora pulled out a folded paper. "Chen's preliminary blood analysis, delivered to her room an hour ago with a note that said simply, 'You should tell him.'" She handed it to Thaddeus. He read it, read it again. His hand started to shake. "This says we share DNA, 50% match, parent and child." He looked up and Nora saw the exact moment realization hit. "You are Elise's daughter. You are my daughter." "Yes." "The baby did not die. I was taken, sold, raised in a facility that trained wolf children as weapons. I did not know who my parents were until 3 days ago." Nora's voice stayed steady through force of will. "I am your daughter, and I am the White Wolf you have been hunting for 8 years." Silence, heavy and absolute. Then Thaddeus moved, not to attack, to pull her into a hug so tight it hurt, his whole body shaking. "My daughter," he whispered into her hair. "I have a daughter, and I have been trying to kill her." Nora held on to him. This alpha she had saved, this father she had just found, and let herself feel safe for the first time in 8 years. "We can fix this," she said. "The ritual, we can cure you together." "At what cost?" "The curse transfers to me, partially, slower, but it will be there." "Absolutely not." "It is the only way." Nora pulled back to look at him. "I just found you. I am not losing you before I even get to know you." Thaddeus cupped her face in his hands, studying her with an intensity that made her wolf settle. "You are my daughter, my blood, my heir, and I will not let you sacrifice yourself for me." Too bad, I am doing it anyway, she smiled. I am very stubborn, I get it from my father. Despite everything, he laughed. When? Full moon, 3 days, we do the ritual and we cure you. Then we deal with the council, together. Together, Thaddeus agreed. My daughter, my pack, my family. For the first time in months, hope flickered in his eyes. And Nora knew, looking at him, that they were going to survive this. One way or another, they were going to win. The 3 days before the full moon passed in a blur of preparation and revelation. Thaddeus taught Nora everything he could cram into 72 hours. Pack history stretching back 3 centuries, territory boundaries and the politics of maintaining them, the delicate balance of power between alphas, the unspoken rules that kept wolf society from descending into constant war. When I am gone, Thaddeus said on the second evening, standing with her on the terrace overlooking endless forest, you will be alpha. The pack will need you. I barely know them. They barely know me. Nora gripped the stone railing. How can I lead wolves who have spent 8 years thinking I was a monster? You show them who you really are, my daughter, my heir, stronger than any of them know. He put a hand on her shoulder. And you are not alone, you have Flint, you have Chen. You have 200 wolves who will follow you because you are Kane. What if that is not enough? It will be, because you have something I never had at your age. You have already survived the worst. You have been hunted and cursed and forced to hide what you are for 8 years. You know how to endure. His grip tightened. That makes you stronger than I ever was. They stood in silence, watching the sun set over territory that would soon be hers to protect. If they survived, if the ritual worked, if the council did not interfere. Too many ifs. There is something else you should know, Thaddeus said quietly, about the mate bond. Nora went very still. They had not discussed this, had been carefully avoiding it despite the pull she felt every time they were in the same room. I felt it the moment you arrived, he continued. My wolf recognized yours. Even through the suppressants you were taking, even through the disguises, my wolf knew. Mate, ours, meant to be. That is impossible. You are my father. I know, which is why this is complicated in ways I do not fully understand. He turned to face her. The mate bond does not always mean what we think it means. Sometimes it is romantic. Sometimes it is partnership. Sometimes it is simply recognizing someone who makes you complete. What does yours mean? I think, he paused, choosing words carefully. I think my wolf recognized you as my equal, as someone worthy of standing beside me and ruling, as family and partner both, not romantic mate, but co-alpha, the one meant to lead when I cannot. Nora felt something loosen in her chest, the wrongness of it, the confusion, settling into something that made sense. Partnership alpha, like the old packs used to do. Exactly. My wolf was right to recognize you, just not in the way either of us expected. He smiled. After the ritual, when our minds merge, you will feel everything I feel. You will understand the bond completely, and then you can decide what it means for you. And if I do not want to decide, then you do not have to. We have time, we have family, that is enough. The full moon rose over Shadowpine territory like a silver coin, cold and bright, and absolutely merciless in its beauty. Nora stood at the center of a ritual circle drawn in blessed salt on the hill where Thaddeus's mate Margaret was buried. She wore white linen that would not restrict her shift. Her feet were bare on earth that smelled of roses and rain and old grief. Thaddeus stood across from her, similarly dressed. Despite the curse eating him alive, despite days of deterioration, he stood with the bearing of an alpha king, refusing to show weakness even to death itself. Dr. Chen moved around the circle, lighting candles at the cardinal points and speaking words in a language so old even Thaddeus did not recognize it. Arctic ritual magic, passed down through bloodlines that no longer existed. Nora had taught her the words phonetically, trusting Chen to perform them correctly. Flint stood watch at the edge of the clearing with 10 senior pack members, guards against interruption, protection if the ritual went wrong. The pack watched from a respectful distance, silent witnesses to something most of them did not fully understand. Their alpha was dying. His daughter, newly discovered, was trying to save him with magic that might kill them both. It was insane. It was their only hope. The Elder's memory ritual, Chen said, her voice carrying in the stillness, requires full moon, sacred ground, and willing participants of shared blood. You understand the risks. The curse will transfer, partially, irreversibly. There is no going back. We understand, Nora and Thaddeus said together. Then shift, both of you, wolf form, face each other as wolf, as alpha, as family. Nora closed her eyes and reached for her wolf. The transformation was pain and pleasure and release all at once, bones breaking and reforming, skin splitting to make way for fur, human consciousness merging with beast instinct until she was both and neither, a perfect synthesis. When she opened her eyes, the world was sharper, richer, full of scents and sounds that human senses could not process, and across from her stood the most magnificent wolf she had ever seen. Thaddeus in his true form, massive gray wolf, silver threading through his fur, eyes that glowed with alpha power despite the curse trying to steal it. He was beautiful. He was terrifying. He was alpha in truth. Father and daughter, 2 Kane wolves, facing each other across a circle of salt and moonlight. Blood of blood, fang of fang, Chen intoned. Share what was broken, heal what remains, let family become one. Nora stepped forward. Thaddeus met her halfway. They touched noses, the wolf greeting, acknowledging pack and kinship and trust. Then Nora bit down gently on his foreleg, drawing blood. Thaddeus did the same to her. Their blood mixed where it dripped onto sacred ground, and the ritual began. The world dissolved. Nora found herself inside Thaddeus's mind, experiencing his memories as if they were her own, seeing through his eyes, feeling his emotions like physical weight. She experienced his childhood, growing up as alpha heir, the pressure and expectations crushing down before he was old enough to understand them, learning to kill before he learned to read. His first shift at 12, the wolf erupting out of him in a wave of pain and power that left him screaming. She felt his first love, Elise, sweet, gentle Elise with her kind hands and kinder heart, the brief, bright joy of that relationship, so different from everything else in his life. The devastating news of her death, the baby lost with her, grief that nearly broke him. She felt him meeting Margaret years later, the slow, careful courtship, learning to love again after loss, building a quiet life. Then cancer stealing her away, leaving him alone again. The Carpathian battle. He had gone to investigate rogue activity, had found them slaughtering a village, had engaged with his warriors trying to stop the massacre. Then she appeared, white wolf, blue eyes moving through the chaos like a force of nature. He thought she was with the rogues, thought she was there to kill him. Then she turned on the rogues instead, killed 3, grabbed him when he went down wounded, dragged him away while his warriors died. He had fought her, not understanding, and she had taken his claws to her ribs without letting go. The last thing he remembered before passing out was her eyes, blue as winter, looking at him like he was worth saving. He woke miles from the battle, alone, cursed, 5 warriors dead, and convinced the white wolf had betrayed him. 8 years of hunting her, of hating her, of not knowing she was his daughter trying desperately to save him. Nora felt every moment of his guilt and rage and grief, felt how much he had wanted to be a father, how much finding her now at the end felt like being given a gift he did not deserve. And she felt the mate bond, his wolf's absolute certainty that she was meant to stand beside him, not as romantic partner but as partner alpha, the one who would complete what he started, who would protect what he could not, who would be alpha when he was gone. The bond was right, just complicated in ways neither of them expected. Then her memories flowed the other way. Thaddeus experienced her childhood, the Black Operations Facility, being trained as a weapon before she understood what weapons were. Her first shift at 18, white fur marking her as Arctic bloodline, marking her as prey for collectors and covens who wanted her power. The escape, years of running, always moving, never safe, learning to trust no one because trust got you killed. Tracking the Shadow Moon coven through Europe, following their trail of bodies and dark magic, arriving at the Carpathian village to find them preparing an ambush for a pack of wolves, recognizing the wolves as innocent, as protectors. Making the split-second decision to intervene, fighting rogues, seeing Thaddeus go down, grabbing him and running because something in her, some instinct she did not understand, said he could not die. Not him, not this alpha. Taking his claws to her ribs because he fought her, not understanding she was trying to save him. Dragging him 2 miles through snow and blood and darkness. Leaving him alive before the curse could fully take hold, disappearing before he could wake and see her. 8 years of being hunted by the man she had saved, of knowing her father was alive somewhere, hating her, wanting her dead, of carrying that grief like a stone in her chest. Coming to Shadowpine, discovering the truth, choosing to save him anyway even though it meant revealing everything. Thaddeus felt it all, felt her loneliness like a wound that never healed, felt her desperate need for family, felt her willingness to die if it meant saving the only parent she had ever known. The memories merged, became one consciousness, father and daughter understanding each other completely. And then the curse surged. Dark magic that had been eating Thaddeus alive sensed the connection and tried to devour them both. Nora felt it wrap around her mind like thorns, squeezing, tearing, corrupting. She did not fight it, she embraced it. Arctic magic, old as glaciers, pure as winter snow. She pulled the curse into herself, taking it from her father, absorbing the poison. The pain was indescribable. Her mind fractured under the assault, but she held on because letting go meant losing him. The ritual completed in a surge of power that knocked everyone watching backwards. Nora and Thaddeus shifted back to human form simultaneously, collapsing to the ground. Chen rushed forward. "Are you both alive?" Thaddeus sat up slowly. His eyes were clear, focused, sharp in a way they had not been in months. "I remember everything, every name, every face, every moment." He looked at Nora. "The curse is gone." "Where did it go?" Chen demanded. Nora stood on shaking legs. Inside her mind she could feel it. A shadow, the beginnings of the curse taking root, but slower, weaker, manageable. "Into me, partial transfer. I have years before it becomes dangerous." "We will find a cure for you too," Thaddeus said, pulling her into a hug. "I promise." The pack erupted in celebration. Their alpha was whole, the curse was broken. But Flint was not celebrating. He stood at the edge of the clearing, staring at the forest with an expression that made Nora's instincts scream. "What is wrong?" she asked, moving to his side. "We have company." He pointed to movement in the trees. "A lot of company." Figures emerged from the darkness. 20, 30, more. Wolves in human form, moving with predatory synchronization. They wore robes marked with arcane symbols, not pack wolves, council enforcers. And leading them was someone who made the air itself feel heavy. Elder Magda, 300 years old if she was a day, carved from stone and malice. Her presence radiated power that came from centuries of accumulated dark magic. Thaddeus Kane, her voice carried like thunder. You have performed forbidden magic, spread Arctic bloodline genetics through ritual, violated council law. Thaddeus stepped forward, putting himself between Magda and Nora. This is my territory, my pack, my choice. You stopped having choices when you mated with Arctic bloodline, when you created this abomination. Magda pointed at Nora. She is unregistered, uncontrolled, a threat to bloodline purity. She must be eliminated. She is my daughter, my heir, and she is under my protection. Your protection means nothing. The council has spoken. The girl comes with us. Alive or dead, your choice. The pack bristled. Growls rumbled. Wolves shifted, ready to defend their alpha and his newly discovered heir. But Magda just smiled. You cannot fight us. We are 300 years of accumulated power. She raised her hand. Her enforcers moved forward. Thaddeus shifted. His newly restored wolf was magnificent, massive gray, radiating the alpha dominance of a king in his prime. Nora shifted beside him, white wolf, Arctic fury, ready to fight. The battle began with a howl that shook the mountains. Council enforcers poured forward. Some were wolves, huge and battle-scarred. Some were witches, wielding curse magic like weapons. They moved in coordinated waves designed to overwhelm through numbers and power. The Kane pack fought back. 200 wolves defending territory, defending family, defending everything they held sacred. Nora and Thaddeus fought side by side. The ritual had merged their tactical minds, making them move as one entity. When one attacked, the other covered. When one fell back, the other pressed forward. Perfect synchronization. Nora took down 5 enforcers with speed and precision her Arctic training had drilled into muscle memory. She moved like white lightning, claws finding throats, fangs crushing windpipes. Thaddeus fought with the brutal efficiency of an alpha who had defended this territory for 40 years. He was devastating in close combat, using teeth and claws and raw power to tear through wolves twice his age. But the council had numbers and magic. Witches chanted, throwing curse fire that burned through fur and flesh. Enforcers wielding blessed silver daggers pressed forward, their weapons designed to kill even the strongest alpha. Flint went down, a silver blade in his shoulder. Chen dragged him to cover. The pack was being pushed back. Families with children fled into the manor. Elders formed defensive lines. And then Magda herself shifted. The ancient dire wolf was a nightmare. Twice the size of any normal wolf, fur black as midnight, eyes glowing red with accumulated power. She radiated magic that made reality bend. She hit Thaddeus like an avalanche, throwing him 50 feet. He crashed into rocks, dazed. Nora lunged at Magda, but 2 enforcers grabbed her, silver collars snapping around her neck. The blessed metal burned, nullifying her ability to fight. No, Thaddeus roared, trying to stand. Then from the forest came reinforcements. Wolves Nora did not recognize, moving with military precision, hitting council enforcers from behind. Leading them was a white wolf, male, massive, moving with the same Arctic grace Nora possessed. He tore through enforcers, making a beeline for Nora, reached her, broke the silver collar with bare fangs despite the burns. He shifted to human form, white blonde hair, eyes fractured blue like hers. "Run," he shouted, "get your father and run." Nora stared at him. At the face she recognized from dreams buried so deep she thought they were imagination. "Who are you?" Victor Ashford." He grabbed her arm. "Your brother, your twin, we were separated as infants. I found you. Finally found you, but we do not have time. Run." Brother, twin. The words did not make sense, but there was no time. Thaddeus reached them, bloody but alive. "Nora, we have to retreat." She looked at the pack, at wolves dying to defend her. "Go," Victor said. His wolves held the line, buying seconds. "I will protect them, but the girl must survive. Run, now." They ran, Thaddeus and Nora, shifting back to human form to move faster through terrain only they knew. Behind them, the battle raged. Victor's pack fighting council enforcers. They did not stop until they reached a cave system 10 miles from the manor. Safe, for now. Nora collapsed against the cave wall, breathing hard. "What just happened? Who was that?" "Your brother, apparently." Thaddeus was bleeding from a dozen wounds. "The twin you did not know existed." "How is that possible?" "I do not know, but he saved us. That is what matters." He pulled her close. "We need a plan. Magda has my territory, my pack. We cannot leave them." "Then we do not leave them, we fight back." Nora met his eyes. "But first, we need to understand what we are dealing with. Who is Victor really? And why did he show up now?" The answer came at dawn. Victor appeared at the cave entrance, alone, human form, looking exhausted. "We need to talk," he said. "About the council, about our family, about why they want all of us dead." The cave smelled of stone and old water and the particular staleness of air that had not moved in centuries. Nora sat on cold rock, watching Victor pace in the dim light filtering from the entrance. 24 years, he said. His voice was rough, like someone who had been shouting for hours. "I have been searching for you for 24 years. "Start from the beginning," Thaddeus ordered. He sat against the cave wall, letting Chen treat the worst of his wounds, cuts and burns from curse fire, but nothing fatal. "Who are you really? And how do you know about Nora?" Victor stopped pacing, looked at Nora with eyes that were mirror images of her own. Heterochromatic. One honey brown, one fractured blue, the genetic marker of Kane bloodline mixed with Arctic. "We are twins," he said simply. "Born to Elise Frost 28 years ago. I was taken first during the birth. You came second." He pointed at Nora. "The council wanted Arctic bloodline. They sent raiders to take any children born with the markers. They got both of us." "But I grew up in a black ops facility," Nora said. "Military training, weapons, nothing about the council." "Because they separated us, sold you to one group, kept me for another. I was raised by the Ashford pack in Alaska. They adopted me knowing what I was, using me for their own purposes." Victor's jaw tightened. "When I was old enough, I started searching. Used every resource, every contact, every favor I could accumulate as Ashford Alpha. And 3 months ago, I finally found a lead. You, in Seattle, working as a tracker." "Why not contact me then?" "Because the council was also looking for you. I had to be careful, had to wait for the right moment." He looked at Thaddeus. "When I heard about the ritual at Shadowpine, I knew they would attack. I came to protect you both." Thaddeus studied him with an alpha's assessment. "You abdicated Ashford territory to come here. That is not a small sacrifice." "You are my sister, my twin, the other half of my soul." Victor's voice cracked. "I have been alone my entire life. I am not losing you now that I finally found you." Nora felt something shift in her chest. Family, real family, father and brother. After 28 years of isolation, she had people who would fight for her, die for her. "The council wants us dead," she said. "All 3 of us. Why?" "Because together we are too powerful." Chen spoke from where she was bandaging Thaddeus. 3 Kane bloodline wolves with Arctic genetics. The ritual proved you can merge consciousness, share power. If all 3 of you bonded, she paused, you would be unstoppable. The council cannot allow that. Then we bond, Thaddeus said. The 3 of us. We perform the ritual again, merge our strength. Then we take back my territory and end Magda. The ritual almost killed you and Nora, Flint protested from the cave entrance. He had refused treatment until everyone else was stable. 3 people might be too much. Or it might be exactly enough. Nora stood. Magda is 300 years old, ancient magic. We cannot beat her individually, but together, 3 Arctic wolves with Kane alpha power, that might be enough. Victor nodded slowly. I am willing, if it saves my sister and her pack. Then we do it tonight, Thaddeus said. Next full moon is weeks away. We do not have weeks, we improvise. Chen looked horrified. The ritual requires full moon, sacred ground, specific conditions. Without those, the magic could backfire, could kill all of you. Then we make our own conditions. We use pack bond instead of moon magic. We use our combined will instead of ritual circles. Thaddeus struggled to his feet despite Chen's protests. We are Kane bloodline. We do not ask permission from magic. We command it. It was insane. It was their only hope. They spent the day preparing, not with books or rituals or ancient wisdom, with instinct and desperation and absolute refusal to surrender. Thaddeus, Nora, and Victor sat in a triangle in the center of the cave. They cut their palms with silver daggers, mixed their blood, and they called the pack bond. The magic that erupted was different from the first ritual, wilder, rawer, unpredictable without the structure of moon magic to guide it. But it was powerful. Nora felt Victor's consciousness slam into hers, felt his memories flood through her mind, his childhood, being raised by wolves who knew he was different, who used his Arctic power for their own territorial ambitions. His escape at 20 when he became strong enough to challenge the Ashford Alpha and win. The years of searching for a sister he barely remembered but could not forget. And she felt Thaddeus's mind merge with both of theirs. Father, daughter, son, 3 minds becoming one consciousness. They saw through each other's eyes, felt each other's emotions, understood each other with a completeness that went beyond words or thought. The curse inside Nora stirred, sensing new targets. It tried to spread to Victor, to Thaddeus, to corrupt them all. But 3 minds were stronger than one. 3 wills combined could not be broken. They grabbed the curse, contained it, compressed it into a tiny point of darkness that could not grow, could not spread, could not destroy. Not cured but controlled, and control was enough. When they opened their eyes, they were still 3 separate wolves, but they were also one pack, one purpose, one weapon. How do you feel? Chen asked, scanning them with healer's intensity. Strong, Nora said, and she was, stronger than she had ever been. Whole, Victor added. For the first time in his life, he was not alone. Ready, Thaddeus finished, ready to take back what is mine. They planned the counterattack with combined tactical genius. 3 minds that had lived different lives, learned different skills, now pooling everything into one perfect strategy. Shadowpine Manor was occupied by 50 council enforcers. Magda would be in the Great Hall, using it as her command center. The pack would be imprisoned, probably in the dungeons. Families would be scattered, terrified. Frontal assault would be suicide, even with their combined power. So they would not assault, they would infiltrate. The old escape tunnels, Nora said, built during the territory wars. They run under the manor, emerge in the wine cellar. I used them as a child, Thaddeus agreed. Magda will not know they exist. We go in quiet, free the pack first, then we deal with Magda. Victor smiled grimly. 3 against 1, even odds. They moved at nightfall. Thaddeus, Nora, Victor plus Flint and 10 wolves who had escaped the initial attack. 15 against 50. Terrible odds. Unless you counted the bond. The tunnel entrance was hidden in a collapsed barn 5 miles from the manor. Nora shifted, using her wolf senses to navigate absolute darkness. The others followed. They moved in silence through passages that had not been used in decades. The tunnel was tight, barely wide enough for wolves. Roots had broken through in places. Water dripped from ceilings that could collapse at any moment. But they pushed forward, because surrender was not an option. They emerged in the wine cellar as planned. The manor above them was quiet, too quiet, like the silence before a storm. Nora led them to the dungeons, found the pack imprisoned exactly as expected, families huddled together, children crying softly, elders standing defiant despite silver chains. The locks were old Kane magic, responding to bloodline touch. Thaddeus opened them with a thought. The chains fell away. "Follow Flint," he whispered to the nearest elder. "The escape tunnels, get everyone out, we will hold them here." "What about you, Alpha?" "I am ending this, tonight, one way or another." He met the elder's eyes. "If I do not come back, Nora is Alpha, obey her as you would me." They nodded, began the quiet evacuation, families disappearing into darkness. But then a child stumbled, made noise. An enforcer heard. The alarm went up. Suddenly the manor erupted. Enforcers poured into the dungeons. Witches threw curse fire. The careful infiltration became open battle. Nora shifted. White Wolf. She tore through 3 enforcers before they could react, buying time for families to escape. Victor fought beside her, another White Wolf, moving with perfect synchronization. The bond let them anticipate each other's moves, covering weaknesses, amplifying strengths. Thaddeus held the center, his gray wolf devastating in close quarters. But there were too many. The enforcers kept coming. And then the temperature dropped 20 degrees. Magda entered the dungeons. Still in human form, she walked through chaos like it was a garden stroll. Her presence alone made weaker wolves whimper and back away. She looked at Thaddeus, at Nora, at Victor. The family reunited, how touching and how pointless. She raised her hand, dark magic surged, reality bent. Nora felt the spell trying to tear their bond apart, trying to separate their minds, make them individuals again, vulnerable. But the bond held, 3 wills refusing to break. "Impossible," Magda whispered. "You should not be able to resist me." "We are Kane bloodline," Thaddeus said, shifting back to human form, standing naked and unafraid. "We do not bow to ancient power, we command it." Magda's eyes flashed red. "Then I will make you bow." She shifted. Her dire wolf form was a nightmare, massive, black, eyes burning with 300 years of accumulated magic. She attacked. The battle that followed was brutal beyond description. Magda was ancient, powerful. Every move was calculated. Every strike was meant to kill. But Nora, Victor, and Thaddeus fought as one entity. When one was vulnerable, the others covered. When one attacked, the others supported. Perfect unity. Nora went for Magda's throat. The ancient wolf blocked. Victor hit from the side. Magda spun. Thaddeus attacked from behind. Claws tore ancient flesh. Fangs found vulnerable points. 3 Arctic wolves overwhelming 1 ancient monster through sheer coordinated fury. Magda unleashed her magic, dark power that should have incinerated them. But the pack bond shielded them. Three wills combined, refusing to be corrupted. The battle raged through the dungeons, up into the Great Hall, across rooms that had witnessed 3 centuries of Kane history. Magda was tiring, 300 years of existence, and she had never faced anything like this. She had always won through overwhelming individual power. But she had never fought family. Victor made his move, distracted her for half a second. Nora was there instantly, jaws closing on Magda's hind leg. Bone crunched. Magda howled, spun, left her throat exposed. Thaddeus took the killing bite. Magda's eyes went wide, not with pain, with understanding. She had lost. The ancient elder brought down by children, by family, by pack. Her body began to crumble, the dark magic that had sustained her for 3 centuries unraveling. She shifted back to human form, old, so impossibly old. "You have won nothing," she whispered with her last breath. "The council will send others. They will never stop hunting you." "Then we will never stop killing them," Nora said. Magda dissolved into dust, and the dust blew away on a wind that smelled like winter. Silence filled the great hall. The council enforcers, released from Magda's control, looked at each other, at the 3 wolves who had just killed their leader, at the choice before them. Fight and die, or submit and live. One by one they knelt, exposed throats, acknowledged the new power. Nora shifted back to human form, stood before them covered in blood and ash and triumph. "The council is broken," she said, her voice carried despite the damage to her throat. "Any of you who want to serve the old ways can leave now. We will not stop you, but if you stay, you serve Shadow Pine Pack. You serve a future where wolves choose their own mates, their own destinies, their own lives. Decide now." They decided. Every single one knelt deeper, offered allegiance. The war was over. 6 months later, Shadowpine Territory held a gathering under a full moon that felt more like celebration than obligation. The manor had been repaired, walls mended, blood scrubbed away. It looked like it had before the war, but it felt different, lighter, like heavy chains had been lifted. Nora stood on the terrace beside her father and brother, watching 200 wolves mingle below, families who had survived, children who would grow up free, elders who could rest knowing the pack was strong. "You have done well," Thaddeus said. He was stepping back from leadership gradually, letting Nora take more responsibility, training her to be alpha. "The pack respects you, follows you, loves you." "We lead together," Nora corrected. "You, me, Victor, 3 Kane alphas, that is our strength." Victor smiled. "I like being part of a family. After 24 years alone, this is—" He paused, searching for words. "This is everything." They stood together, 3 generations of Kane bloodline reunited, watching over territory they had fought to keep. Flint appeared with glasses of wine. Toast to the alpha, the heir, and the brother who showed up just in time. They drank, celebrated, let themselves have this moment of peace. Later, when the gathering had wound down, Nora found herself alone in the library with her father. "The mate bond," Thaddeus said quietly. "We should discuss it." They had been avoiding this conversation for 6 months, but it could not be avoided forever. "I felt it during the first ritual," Nora said. "Your wolf and mine, the recognition. I did not understand it." "Neither did I, but I have been thinking." He moved to stand beside her at the window. "The bond does not always mean romantic love. Sometimes it means finding the one who completes you, who makes you better, who stands beside you as equal." "Partner alphas." "Exactly. My wolf recognized you as co-ruler, as family and partner both. The bond was right, just not in the way we initially thought." Nora felt something settle in her chest. I can accept that. Partner, family, alpha. Nothing more, nothing less. Thaddeus put his arm around her shoulders. You are my daughter, my heir. That is enough. That is everything. They stood together, father and daughter, watching the moon rise over territory that was finally, truly at peace. The white wolf had stopped running. Winter had come home to stay. And the Kane bloodline would endure.